What's happening, friends? Welcome back. We're gonna talk about a very hot topic, which is gonna be fat burners. So you definitely don't want to miss out. If you're new to this, if you don't know who I am, my name is Andres. I am a registered dietitian and nutrition coach, and I lead this group. I know we've had a good amount of wave of people coming in from TikTok and all the different sources. So I am your educator, and I'm here to enlighten you with new information that hopefully is non-BS, and then it'll help you accomplish your goals. Today, I'm gonna be talking a little bit about fat burners because it's definitely a very hot topic. And I wanted to kind of like enlighten you with what they are and really how they work. Are they effective? Is that something that we should be buying? Are they going to be helpful in the process of trying to lose body fat and things like that? So I actually wanted to go over a few of those different things here today. So let's get right into it. So first of all, fat burners are also known as thermogenic supplements. Let's first define what thermogenic means. Thermogenics is the production of heat. Genesis is the generation of, and then thermo is going to be heat. So essentially, when you're burning fat, essentially what you're doing is you are releasing more heat in the body. So think about it's kind of like the process of metabolism. So technically speaking, a lot of these thermogenic supplements or fat burners, really what they do is that they try to increase your body's calorie burning or energy production system to release more heat. And with that, obviously, the amount of you're boosting, quote unquote, your metabolism. And also at the same time, some of these fat burning supplements or thermogenic supplements, they act in a way to actually reduce the amount of the appetite that you're going to have. So I'm going to basically share some of the key ingredients that most of these typical fat burning supplements typically have. And I'm also going to tell you real quick whether or not they actually have an effect. So number one, typically most fat burning supplements are going to have a buttload of caffeine. That's why when you've taken them in the past, you kind of get this jittery effect. You kind of get all this, especially if you're not used to caffeine, sometimes they can actually take they can contain as much as 3 or 4 and even 5 cups of coffee in just a couple of pills. So that's one of the main things about it. Caffeine is just a stimulant, and it does have the effect of increasing levels of adrenaline, and with that obviously will increase your ability to be able to kind of burn some fat. But at the same time, caffeine has a tolerance that you kind of build up. So if you're a habitual caffeine drinker, then technically the effect of a fat burning supplement are going to be relatively small to none. The second ingredient that we typically find in a lot of fat burning supplements is going to be green tea, or it's also known as EGCG. It contains a couple of compounds, which is going to be caffeine, and there's that EGCG compound as well. It has very similar effects as, well, obviously caffeine, but again, the effects are relatively small. So another one in the books that it doesn't really kind of show to have much of a massive effect. Third ingredient is going to be capsaicin, or it's typically the molecule that makes chili peppers kind of spicy. It does kind of have an effect on adrenaline, speeding up essentially metabolism. Again, the effects are relatively small in research, so technically they don't really do anything else as far as that. Then the other one is going to be Garcinia Cambogia. And we also have ingredients like yohimbine, bitter orange, and some thermogenic blends. I'm not going to get too much into each one of them. What I just wanted to tell you into each one of those ingredients is they all act in the same kind of manner. They're trying to sort of increase the heat generation capacity of your body, but the effects are very transient. So they only last for a specific amount of time. So the acute effects, you may actually feel it's high, but then the long-term effects or the chronic effect for fat loss are honestly relatively small to absolutely none. This is what we found in typically a lot of the studies where they look at some of these thermogenic supplements. The reason why I'm going to also recommend against them here today is not because the effects are small, but they could be an effect. It's mainly because of the fact that they're very highly unregulated supplements. Sometimes you don't know what's actually in them. The number one reason I don't recommend it is because it can have unpleasant side effects, such as, for example, diarrhea and all kinds of different gut health issues. It can also have unpleasant effects, such as, for example, palpitations and very high heart rate, which sometimes can be really difficult. And some people can be super scared because it's weird to actually take a supplement that is getting your heart rate to go up out of the blue, absolutely doing anything. doing nothing at all or exercising. So that can be a little scary. And obviously, you can have potential serious complications. Back, I think in 2012, one of the big fat burning components that was usually added into fat burning supplements was completely banned from being added into any supplements. And you may remember this as ephedra. So a couple people are not sure, I think it was like an athlete actually died from heart complications because of taking some of these supplements. So that's why I honestly try to kind of caution against it, because of the fact that they're just highly unregulated supplements. You never know what you're taking. You never know what's inside of them. If you honestly wanted to kind of get at the effect of like that kind of fat burning and at the same time like that kind of jittery effect, just take like caffeine. Honestly, that's all it kind of required. Now, there are some of these components that have some interesting research on some other kinds of areas like yohimbine and things like that. But again, it's not enough for me to tell you in here, hey, go out and buy a fat burning supplement, because a lot of times it may not be something that you could benefit from. So that's just my take on those. Honestly, like diet, exercise, it's the stuff that I always talk about, but that's really what kind of leads to long-term fat loss. Don't try to take the shortcuts, because a lot of times those shortcuts lead to an unhealthy balance, not necessarily something that is ideal. You're also going to see in this picture that I actually added one of the most like sold out fat burning supplements by a very famous influencer. Her name is Sasha Fitness, and it's called Fit9. It doesn't have many of those ingredients, but it does have the typical caffeine and green tea extract. And people typically like they just go crazy about this. And you look at the reviews and it's just insane. Honestly, Fit9 has specific ingredients that have limited research onto improving hormonal support and all these different things, but nothing out of this world for you to be spending $50 a month on something that is ultimately not going to kind of lead to any kind of effect. Most people, when they start taking fat burning supplements, they're usually starting it at the same time after they're trying to actually change their lifestyle. They're trying to change the way that they actually eat. So usually the effects are not related to the actual fat burning supplement that they're taking, but because of all the changes that you're making with you taking that. And I can prove that because I have friends, and even my fiance actually bought the supplement, didn't really change anything else in her diet. She was already eating healthy and absolutely saw no results. Same thing happens to a lot of my friends that have done the same thing. So most people that buy and purchase some of these supplements are coming already from situations in which their diets are pretty shitty. So when you kind of start from there and then you try to get a fat burning supplement to sort of fast track the process, you're already making a lot of changes in the back end, and you attribute everything to the fat burning when in reality it wasn't. So keep that in mind. That's my message for you guys here today. So if you have any questions, any burning, pun intended, questions that you would want to ask me, make sure you comment and we can actually have a conversation and talk about this stuff.